Thank you again, all of you, for being here. And before we dive into our first experience of an abridged session for Circles of Connection, I want to ground us a little bit in the why. Why does JUC do small group ministry? And why do we do the Circles of Connection in particular? JUC has done a lot of different small groups in the past for a lot of different reasons. But Circles of Connection is really about creating a space for us to practice what it is to be Unitarian Universalist. We have 7 principles, 6 sources that set lofty goals for how we show up in the world. But you can't just become a UU and ascribe to the principles and be perfected overnight. If only it were that simple. But instead, we have to live into those values and practice. And small groups of 8 to 10 people give us a lot of opportunity to practice. The people in your group might not be people that you choose. They might be challenging. And that is how we show up and how we run into people in the real world. And so these 90-minute sessions give us space to practice and use our tools to respect everyone's inherent worth and dignity, to engage in spiritual growth, to explore responsibly what it is and seek out truth and meaning, and that in alignment with our principles, and so much more. We also can use these spaces to get to know one another, to learn to care for one another, to experience what it feels like to be cared for by others, and build and widen our circles. One of the things that is new about Circles of Connection is that we're really intentionally trying to widen the circles of our church members. In the past, you might have been able to find a group of people that you knew and join that group. This year, we're curating the groups to try to connect people who might not otherwise run into one another at JUC. Really, it is about that practice of our faith and how we show up for one another and continue to live our values. Jules, would you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. I want to also name, I guess, that it is a way to shrink the church, and that we have a large church, and it can be overwhelming sometimes of how many people, and trying to get to know people and make really meaningful connections. And small group ministry is one way to do that, is to shrink our church where we have smaller groups that are creating those meaningful connections.